for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. Kirk Market, experience a world of choice. JN Money, from abroad to Yad. And Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
We ask our listeners and viewers to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Live from Radio Cayman Studio.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
With Orrett Connor.
Informative, impartial, insightful. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Friday, the, what date? 13th of March, 2026, right here in the Cayman Islands. Yes, Friday the 13th, just treat it as if it's any other day. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on our roads, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road, because the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, or if you celebrated one over the past few days, we want to wish you a happy birthday or a happy belated birthday, whichever is applicable. And to remind you that, For the Record, birthday shout-outs brought to you by Coca-Cola and the credit union. Coca-Cola available across the Cayman Islands. You should accept no substitutes from generation to generation. Coca-Cola, still a Cayman classic. And the credit union. The credit union looks forward to serving the Cayman community for the next 50 years and beyond. So very quickly, we're going to go over the birthdays. I do have guests in the studio, so my opening remarks will be abbreviated this morning in the interest of time. So we see that Miss Marva Bawden Reed is celebrating her birthday today. Tomorrow, Dorley Wright celebrating a birthday. Mr. Ralph Lewis also celebrating his birthday tomorrow. Charles Primo Ebanks also celebrating a birthday tomorrow, as well as Cassius Watson. And on Sunday, Miss Melanie Sims will be celebrating her birthday as well. If you know someone who's celebrating a birthday or any other momentous occasion, please share that information with us right here on For the Record, and we will give them a birthday shout out. So going right to our guests now, it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Mr. Mark Codling, who's the Deputy Director for Planning, Preparedness and Mitigation, and Miss Tiffany Young, who's the Community Engagement Officer at Hazard Management Cayman Islands. They are here to talk about the CARIB Wave exercise, which is scheduled for this coming Wednesday, the 19th of March, and they're going to be reminding the public of some very important downloads of some very important, or a very important app as well. So without any further ado, folks, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Thank you so much, OC.
Thank you very much, and morning to your guests as well.
Okay.
To our listeners.
Well, first of all, we want to say thank you to you and your organization, all of the staff at Hazard Management Cayman Islands, that for all that you do to help to keep the Cayman Islands safe. Some people believe that it's just restricted to hurricane preparedness, but it goes, far and beyond that as well. So just want to thank you and your colleagues at Hazard Management Cayman.
Thank you.
Thank you. No problem.
Okay. You're going to kick it off, Mr. Codling?
Sure, I'll just quickly open and then have Tiffany kind of go into the details. But pretty much what we're looking at is for March the 19th. That's next week, Thursday. We'll be having our CARIB Wave annual regional tsunami exercise. And part of this is it's a regional exercise, and it involves several stakeholders across the Caribbean. So thousands of persons will be participating. It's an opportunity for us to actually test our systems, both within the communities as well as working with several stakeholders. For this particular year, we'll be focusing keenly on the tourism sector. I'll have Tiffany kind of expand on that as well. But what we encourage persons to do, we have a lot of media going out as it relates to our social media posts, focusing on tsunami, what to do. One of the key things we need to understand is that while we've seen other jurisdictions like in Asia, where we saw in 2004 a significant tsunami, it has really created a significant push. And even up to last year, we had that tsunami threat in the Caymanian. We never felt the earthquake, but we had a tsunami threat. And the question is, what do we do? How do we go about ensuring that we have the necessary? One of the key elements we have is to ensure you have the mobile app, SMS, email, which is the NENS app. We encourage persons to visit nens.gov.ky to ensure you have the necessary communication avenues and channels. We have our social media. We're trying to reach as much channels as possible. But the idea is, from our side, is to really work closely with the various stakeholders and for the public to understand the importance of, if we do trigger an alert, what do we do? And one of the things I'll have Tiffany do is also expound on that in terms of the details of the exercise that's coming up next week.
Okay, Miss Tiffany.
All right, thank you so much. So one of the things is Cayman is very flat. We're actually about 7 feet above sea level on average. So in other jurisdictions where they have elevated, they have mountains, they have hills, typically they have evacuation points. However, here, because we're so flat, the advice is to go to higher ground. Higher ground meaning second floor above in a concrete building, or if you're in a single story, inland away from the coast, remaining there. One thing people don't realize is a tsunami or a series of waves. It's not just one wave, and it can actually last hours. So just like there's an all clear for hurricanes and tropical storms, there's actually an all clear for tsunamis as well. So part of CARIB Wave is to just go through that plan and practice that. So vertical evacuation for persons along the coast and remaining there until the official all clear. So as Mark mentioned, CARIB Wave is regional, happens every year. Last year we focused on the education sector, but we found that they are so robust in their response. So we're switching over to the tourism sector this year. We have some ambassador partners, specifically Kimpton, Indigo, and Bonnie Moon. Very important to our visitors and residents in terms of national safety. So we're working with them to test their plans, especially because they are coastal locations, and just practice that vertical evacuation. It has to be quick. What people don't realize is tsunami waves can actually arrive within minutes, talking 2 to 5 minutes. And this is why we usually say don't wait for the official warning. We will try to get it out as soon as we receive it, but just practicing these plans. And it's good to practice what to do before a real emergency. I think we've learned from that 2020 earthquake and the 2025 one, when we had the tsunami threat, that people panic in the moment.
Yes.
So it's so good to just have your plans in place. Everyone knows their role, and you feel a lot more comfortable with it.
I think just to add to that, one of the key things, we speak about the drills. It's always good to have your grab and go bag, right? It's always there, and sometimes person have it in your car, at home, just in case. And there's some key elements. And I think when we ask persons to visit our website as well, caymanprepared.ky, and that gives us necessary information that you can see in terms of guidance, in terms of what to do if you do have a tsunami. And as we know, it's generated because of a significant earthquake or seismic event.
Yeah. Now, how do we reassure people? Because there's a tendency to become complacent, just like we did with hurricanes to a certain extent until Ivan hit us, because we were always accustomed to, at the last minute, the hurricane changing directions or something. Same way that we see with earthquakes, that tsunami warning may go out, but nothing happens. And how do we ensure that the public does not become complacent and that they heed the warnings, irrespective of the fact that nothing may occur?
Right. So I'll just start off and then I'll pass on to Mark. So we've been doing a lot of public education, especially following the 2020 earthquake. A lot of lessons learned. So last year we did about 75 presentations to almost 4,000 people. We're continuing that this year and trying to create that culture of readiness where people take it as seriously as a hurricane. It's something you can do some things to prepare for it, although it is a sudden onset event and we can't predict it. There are little things you can do, and one of those things is gaining the knowledge. And I'll just pass over to Mark about the NENS component.
Sure.
Yeah, I think, as Tiffany mentioned, for the NENS component of the benefit of the public, it's a National Emergency Notification System. It involves several parameters, or systems, or components. So one being the radar alert. So we have, in terms of broadcast, we can actually send from our location basically a text-to-speech that would disrupt the radio station and trigger an alert in terms of proceeding with based on earthquake. Secondly, we have the mobile app, the email, and SMS. In addition to that, with social media, with the various platforms that are available. What we encourage persons to do, and you'll see a lot, especially during the period of January, February. It's very common. So we saw, for example, in Haiti, we had one in January, the 2020, and the one last year in February. So the idea is, yes, we might find certain periods you may have a lot of seismic activities, but the idea is it can occur anytime. And it's always important to be ready. Stay abreast, especially when it comes to official sources. So we really push that a lot. A lot of times you will see information out there, various applications, various news houses will share different stories, and that sometimes you need to really ensure you verify the information. So what we try to do, especially within our SOPs, or standard operating procedures, we have various checks and balances, because at the end of the day, public safety is important, and the right information needs to get to the people so they can take the right actions. So we ensure that we work closely, not just with our local partners, especially 911, but also with our regional partners, so Tsunami Warning Center. One of the projects we have been working on, and I think over the last couple of years, the public have expressed a key interest in saying, okay, we have the app, however, what if somebody comes on island, visit, or if you don't have the app at all on your phone, this technology out there in terms of the cell broadcast, just being the proximity of a cell tower. That is something that we are currently undertaking right now and working with several stakeholders on that initiative. I think that is very important for us to get to that golden standard, or essentially that greater reach. As it currently sits, WhatsApp is a very popular platform being utilized. There might be cases where a person might necessarily have data on their phone. If we should have a situation where we have a total blackout of communication, we're trying to ensure we have redundancy. We saw, for example, in Jamaica when they had Hurricane Melissa, a lot of persons relied upon the Starlink system, which proved very beneficial, right? But at the same time, with the right policies and procedures in place, and a massive thanks to our colleagues from Orrett to facilitate in the event of any emergency, we can utilize those systems. So it's all about ensuring that we have the redundancy, and the government is working hard on that initiative to ensure that we have various communication channels to get the information out to the public.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, I want you to talk a little bit more, about the functionality, of the various apps or ways that you have of alerting the public as well, because we knew that at one point in time it was in the developmental stage. So if you could talk, in terms of its development and where you are with that now. Folks, we will return after this short commercial break. If you are just joining us, we are talking about the CARIB wave exercise, which is taking place, I believe I said Wednesday. That's what I had written down here, but it's actually the 19th, Thursday, the 19th of March. And we're going to also talk and remind you about downloading the NENS app. The conversation that we're having is taking place, folks, with Mr. Mark Codling, who's the Deputy Director for Planning, Preparedness, and Mitigation, and Ms. Tiffany Young, who's the Community Engagement Officer at Hazard Management, Cayman Islands. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Captain Frederick Gilbury E. Banks, 1893 to 1990. Captain Freddie was born in West Bay. His father died when Freddie was 11, and the boy was taken aboard the ship of Captain William Farrington Sr. as a mess boy. Captain Farrington ensured that Freddie continued his education. Captain Freddie, who became a master mariner and sailed large ships to many parts of the world, in turn always gave freely of his time in passing on his knowledge of navigation and seamanship to young men. He participated in a search for survivors of the Caymanian, torpedoed off of Grand Cayman during World War II, and sailed to the Mosquito Keys to search for survivors of the schooner Majestic following the 1941 hurricane. From then on, upon his return from every voyage, he brought supplies for widows and orphans, as well as his own household. A deeply religious man, Captain Freddie attended the Wesleyan Church, formerly Pilgrim Holiness, which stands on the land donated by his mother. He and his wife, Hetty, had 6 children, and by the time of his death, his family had grown to include a great-great-granddaughter.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Saturday, April 18th, will be the gathering of the future. The gathering of budding scientists, budding botanists, budding engineers, budding medical specialists, marine biologists, systems architects, and much, much more. The Rotary Central Dr. Bill Rudy's Science Fair will be at the Ark Commander Bay, 8 a.m. to 12 noon. The gathering of the future. Students from over 15 schools across Cayman. Save the date, April 18th. The Rotary Central Dr. Bill Rudy Science Fair, sponsored by CUC, supported by the Cayman Motor Federation. Sign up today, rotarysciencefair.ky. The future is sparking.
Yeah, let me tell you, no AC when I was a boy. I still remember just how good an ice-cold Coca-Cola was.
The part is, the coolest moms and dads always had Coca-Cola or parties.
The sound when you pop the top, and the fizzle, and that, after that first sip.
Coca-Cola, from generation to generation, that ice-cold bubbly. Coca-Cola, still a Cayman classic.
When you join the credit union, you're not just a customer. You're a member owner with one equal vote. As we celebrate 50 years, our members continue to share the benefits. Enjoy strong dividends on shares, competitive loan rates, and the lowest lending fees on the market. Plus, we're the only lender returning up to 2% of loan interest to our members every year. For 50 years, we've helped Caymanians save, borrow, and build brighter futures. That's the credit union difference. Visit creditunion.ky to learn more.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite Band-Aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. But don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Hey, new drivers. Don't just drive, drive smart. Cynical and Inspire Cayman's Safe Driver program will show you how. Get real-life simulator training and classroom sessions to help you gain experience, stay alert, and avoid accidents. Learn to recognize risk, manage fatigue, and make smart choices behind the wheel. Certified participants may even pay less for Cynical motor insurance. Learn more and register at cynical.ky. Cynical, keeping Cayman covered.
Heads up, listeners. Talk Today will be going on the road from 12:15 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. today, broadcasting live from the Credit Union in honor of their 50th anniversary celebrations.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My guests in the studio this morning are Mark Codling, Deputy Director for Planning, Preparedness and Mitigation, and Miss Tiffany Young, Community Engagement Officer, both from Hazard Management Cayman Islands. We're talking about the CARIB wave exercise, which is scheduled for Thursday, the 19th of March. We're also talking about your ability and reminding you to download the NENS app. Folks, I'm going to throw the mic over to you.
Sure. I think I'll start with for today. We're going to do we call it a pre-alert. A pre-test. That's scheduled for 10 a.m. today. Okay. And that will produce a very moderate low tone. So it will be sent by the app as well as SMS email. Essentially what we're putting out to the public is to indicate to them that we'll be having the actual exercise on March the 19th. Just to give you at least a week windows heads up, pretty much for persons to, if there's any challenges with the app, they can email us at nens@gov.ky, or they could call it, Hazard Management, and reach out to us. I think one of the things we are trying to do, we recently been working with the vendor. They had an update on December 2025. So the app might have a different look, different feel. Okay. I think it's much more user friendly. So based on those updates, we're using this opportunity to actually test the capabilities. We'll actually be having like a virtual NOC set up on March the 19th as well, working with several stakeholders. And we have to give a lot of credit to our communications team, Department of Communication, as well as our lead communication within Hazard Management as well, Mr. Leah Dunstan, as well as our colleagues from the Department of Public Safety and Communication. They have been key stakeholders working closely, especially our colleagues from the Cabinet Office. All these key stakeholders have produced and work closely with us to ensure that this event we're able to exercise and test our systems. And then I will pass on to Tiffany that will focus a lot. What are the steps? Because that's a big question. How do I get this app? She'll just walk through the various steps for persons to.
Okay.
All right. So I'll get through that. So a lot of people are tempted to go and immediately download the app. However, what they need to do is go to the website, which is NENS, that's NENS.gov.ky. There shows 4 steps. Step 1 is to opt in. So it's a form that must be completed before you download the app. So that form must be completed to register. Then you go to your app store And the app itself, although we call it NENS, National Emergency Notification System, the app itself is called BlackBerry Ad Hoc. So they'll go to their Play Store, look for the app, download it. It will ask for an organization code. That code is HMCI, standing for Hazard Management Cayman Islands. They'll put the email that they registered with. It will send a email for verification to their box. They may have to check their junk mail. It'll be from BlackBerry Ad Hoc, that email. It's a purple button that says Verify Now. Once they click that Verify Now, they can go back to the app and they should be good to go. And how you know you're connected, it says Cayman Islands Public.
Okay.
And
you may want to repeat that whole process.
Yeah. So one more time. Can't immediately go and download the app. You need to go to nens.gov.ky, nens.gov.ky to register first. Then download the app being called BlackBerry Ad Hoc. You're going to ask for organization code, that is HMCI, standing for Hazard Management Cayman Islands. You'll put in your email. It'll ask you to verify your email, which you may need to check your junk box. Go back to the app and you're good to go. Cayman Islands Public is how you know you're good to go.
Great.
And as indicated, if there's any issues at all, email us at nens@gov.ky.
And OC, if you're good, I just want to touch back on before we conclude. If persons are interested in participating in CARIB Wave, the tsunami exercise next Thursday, March 19th, there's the regional body, UNESCO. They can sign up with the regional body through tsunamizone.org. That's tsunamizone.org. It's registering participants from all over Hawaii, other BOTs. Last year, Cayman had the most participants out of all the BOTs with 11,000 participants. This year, we have about 5,223 persons signed up so far. So we're a little competitive here in Cayman. So encouraging everyone to get signed up, participate.
Yes, indeed.
And ways that you can participate is by going over your emergency plan. You can run a full drill or do a tabletop, prepare a grab bag, or just educate yourself. HMCI has a earthquake and tsunami guidance video. It may be as simple as just watching that and educating themselves. So those are ways they can participate. And if they are participating, we're encouraging them to register with the coordinating international body via tsunamizone.org.
And they can participate as individuals or as organizations.
That is correct, yes. So a whole office can do it, an individual department, or an individual person, whether they want to make a family emergency plan, such as creating a meeting place. In 2020 with the gridlock traffic and the phones down, I think having a meeting place would be a useful plan to have ahead of time.
Yeah, certainly. And again, can you reemphasize the advantage of participating, in this exercise?
Sure. As I mentioned before, practicing what to do before the emergency definitely helps. You feel more confident when it does happen, and it gives you an opportunity to, we say, build back better in disaster management. You learn from it, you can improve, and when the actual event happens, you just feel a lot more confident, and preparedness saves lives.
Definitely. And we welcome the feedback as well from the public. That's very important. That's how we improve our systems, and that's how we ensure that we serve the public better. And just last is to say, a big thanks especially to our senior management team. Thanks to Ms. Danny Coleman. Of course, our CAPSEC for the support, and our DCOs for all the support given. Because again, we need that support from the management team to really push this initiative.
Okay,
again, thank you.
I want to give you all, that might have been Mark's closing comments, but I'm going to give Ms. Tiffany an opportunity for some closing comments as well.
Sure, yeah, just encouraging everyone to download NENS. I think last February with that earthquake, it was a 7.6, very similar to the 2020 earthquake, which was a 7.8. It was a little further, which is why we didn't feel it, but there was a subsequent tsunami threat. And I think having the app, that event proved how important it is to have the app, because many people only found out about the tsunami threat initially through the app, as well as through our socials and other official channels. But it can come in handy. That loud tone, if it was to happen overnight, can save lives.
Okay, so folks, don't forget the CARIB Wave exercise taking place on Thursday, the 19th of March, and you are reminded to download the NENS app. You can certainly go back on YouTube and replay this broadcast to get all of that information, but I'm also certain that it is all on your website as well. Right?
Yes.
Okay, with that, folks, we're going to go to our 8 o'clock news. When we return, we will have Minister Michael Myles, who has constitutional responsibility for Caymanian employment and immigration, in the studio with us, along with his team. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Cayman Islands, are you ready? This is not just another church event. This is a prophetic revival coming to the island. Prophet Kofi Danzo will be live with miracles, breakthrough, healing, and a prophetic word for this season. If you need answers, direction, or you're tired of the same struggle, this is the night for you. Georgetown Hall, Georgetown, Grand Cayman, between the 13th to the 14th of March at 7 p.m. Admission is free. Come early and don't miss what God is about to do. This is your moment. This is your revival.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Yesterday,
Today,
always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller.
The government remains committed to delivering a modern, comprehensive, and resilient waste management system.
The Environment Minister updates MPs in Parliament on the status of Cayman's solid waste management system.
In November of 2025, Cabinet approved policy guidance for the development of a national recycling program and long-term solid waste management solution. This approval provides the strategic framework necessary to support structured planning, governance design, and future procurement preparation.
The Honourable Catherine Ebanks-Wilkes says the National Coalition for Caymanians administration has also initiated the early development of two, quote, critical pillars of Cayman's long-term strategy.
The National Recycling Program and the broader National Solid Waste Management Solution.
The minister says those initiatives are still in their early phases, but the foundational technical work is, quote, actively progressing. Government announced it was exiting the Region Integrated Solid Waste Management System project back in 2024 over cost concerns. That project was to be a partnership between the Cayman Islands government and a DART-led consortium to transform the Georgetown landfill into a green space, along with a state-of-the-art energy recovery and recycling center. Parliament has signed off on new mortgage rules that the government says will change how banks deal with borrowers. Here's Radio Cayman's Elizabeth Charles.
The Minister for Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure, the Honourable J. Ebanks, steered the Registered Land Amendment Act 2026 through Parliament. The ministry says the law is aimed at making mortgage terms easier to follow and at changing how problems are handled when people fall behind.
These amendments are about clarity and fairness. They help ensure people understand what they are agreeing to. They encourage earlier conversations. When challenges arise, they set out clearer processes where action is required. This is about improving transparency while maintaining confidence in Cayman's land and financial system.
Officials say lenders will have to give written notice before interest rates change and follow clearer steps when a mortgage goes into default. According to a statement dated March 10th, the act will come into force on a date set by cabinet order after further talks with banks, lawyers, and other stakeholders. For Radio Cayman News, I'm Elizabeth Charles.
And Flowetry is stepping into the K-Fest spotlight this month. Host Hilton Grace tells Radio Cayman the night brings together a community that already meets regularly to share poetry.
I like to describe it as a grassroots of poets and lovers of poetry who gather once per month to share in that love of poetry. It's a partnership with the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, and we usually get together at least once per month. This time around for K-Fest, partnering also with the National Gallery, which also has an exhibition going on at that same time.
Mr. Gray says the format stays the same with space for both seasoned writers and first-timers.
Think karaoke, but for poetry. You come in, a slip of paper goes around if you wish to take part in the open mic section, and then it's usually hosted by myself, so you get a little welcome, a quick history of what it's about. Then we have the open mic section, and then later on we'll have a featured poet.
You can watch the full interview by checking out the Radio Cayman YouTube channel. The Floetry K-Fest night is taking place March 18th at the National Gallery at 7 p.m. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller.
BBC News with Moira Alderson. The massive bombardment of Iran is continuing with explosions heard across Tehran. Iranian state television reported a major blast near where thousands of Iranians are taking part in a Quds Day rally, an annual march in support of Palestinians and opposing Israel. One person is reported to have been killed. NATO air defences in the eastern Mediterranean have shot down a third ballistic missile fired from Iran towards Turkey. Earlier, Saudi Arabia said it had intercepted nearly 25 drones targeting several regions of the country. The European Union says it's deeply concerned at a unilateral decision by the US to lift sanctions on Russian oil. The president of the European Council said the move had had an impact on European security. Germany's chancellor said the decision was wrong, whatever the reason. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres is visiting Lebanon as Israel expands its airstrikes there. He said his visit was intended to express solidarity. Nearly 700 people have been killed in the current campaign. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite Band-Aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. Don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
The Ministry of Education and Training invites eligible Caymanians to apply for a local scholarship for the 2026-2027 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Thursday, 30th of April, 2026. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education and Training.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Synopsis indicate a few morning showers expected across the Cayman area as instability lingers, after which mostly fair conditions is expected. Light winds and slight seas are forecast due to a slack pressure gradient across the northwestern Caribbean. Radar imagery show patches of showers offshore the eastern coast of Grand Cayman. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, becoming mostly fair. Temperatures will rise to the mid-80s with a heat index of 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Your winds will be east to northeast at 5 knots or less, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for mostly fair skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures will dip to the mid-70s. Tonight, your winds will be northeast at 5 knots or less, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Low tide will be this afternoon at 1 minute after 1. High tide again this evening at 6:20. The sun will set this evening at 6:33 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:35. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Sunday afternoon. From late Sunday, an increase in cloudiness with scattered thunderstorms are likely as a series of troughs begin to affect the northwestern Caribbean. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
If you have an objection to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your...
Don't do it, Tevin! I still love you. I have since the day we stole your mom's car and got matching dolphin tattoos.
Oh, Lordy. Janelle? From spring break 08?
Yes, it's me.
Janelle, you've got to move on.
We're like the wedding guest that doesn't ruin the ceremony. CG Brit-K. Good like that.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Brit-K, where people come first.
It's back. It's crispy. It's delicious. St. Ignatius Youth Ministry presents Friday Fish Fry Nights. 5 weeks of flavor. February 27, March 6, 13, 20th, and the 27th. Serving from 5 until 7:30 p.m. at the St. Ignatius School Canteen. Dine in or take out. Menu includes fried or baked snapper $17 or mai $15. Served with fries or rice, coleslaw, escovitch, fritters, and more. Drinks just $1. Free desserts while they last. Eat good, do good. Every bite supports our youth ministry trip to the Steubenville High School Youth Conference in Orlando, Florida this summer. Come hungry, leave happy. See you there.
Saturday, April 18th, will be the gathering of the future. The gathering of budding scientists, budding botanists, budding engineers, budding medical specialists, marine biologists, systems architects, and much, much more. The Rotary Central Dr. Bill Rudy Science Fair will be at the Arc Commander Bay 8 a.m. to 12 noon. The gathering of the future. Students from over 15 schools across Cayman. Save the date, April 18th. The Rotary Central Dr. Bill Rudy Science Fair, sponsored by CUC, supported by the Cayman Motor Federation. Sign up today, rotarysciencefair.ky. The future is sparking.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Top of the morning, let's check in with traffic, see what's slowing and what's flowing. Further up on Shamrock Road, traffic is moving at a moderate pace. Further down, different story as traffic steady as you approach the Linford-Pearson Highway. Expect delays as you head on down to Georgetown. It's a crawlathon happening on Crew Road heading to Georgetown. A lot of patience needed this morning. Heading east on Crew Road, traffic is moving at a good pace. On Edward Street, flowing moderately, as well as on Shedden Road in both directions. On the West Bay Road, in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions as well. And coming off of the Ashley-Tibbetts Highway, steady but flowing traffic. And continuing on to North Sound Road, Industrial Park area, moving at a moderate pace. And steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way and Agnes Way. Owen Roberts Drive, light to moderate traffic flow. And Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue flowing at a moderate pace in both directions. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 12:10. We'll give you another look at traffic. Have a good morning and drive safe.
Craving something new? Dive into Subway's new seafood subs. 3 recipes inspired by the flavors of the coast, including the crunchy seafood bliss, the scrumptious chipotle tuna crunch, and the delicious breaded fish and ranch sub, made with our new breaded fish nuggets. Subway's new seafood subs. 3 recipes made to rock the boat. Only at Subway.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
RC Fusion is proudly brought to you by TCE Paint Shop, Farmers and Artisans Retail Market, and My Canda Cleaners. RC Fusion, weekdays 10 a.m. to 12 midday, right here on Radio Cayman 89.9.
RC Fusion.
Radio Cayman Energy.
Cayman, it's time to move. 20% of Cayman's population are not meeting the World Health Organization recommended minimum of 150 minutes of physical activity per week for adults ages 18 to 69. That is just 20 minutes a day. The STEPS 2023 National Health Survey gives us information on the prevalence of risk factors for non-communicable diseases, and movement impacts them all. Your health matters. Let's step into Wellness Cayman. Learn more by logging on to gov.ky/STEPS.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Before I introduce my guests into the studio, we have a few birthday shout-outs that have been asked to convey as well. One more here. It's a little bit it's important. It's a little bit longer than just a birthday shout-out, but I'm going to read it anyway. It says, birthday greetings to Miss Venice Maria Johnson from her loving daughter, Sasha Carter, and loving grandson, Hubert Walker. Mrs. Johnson, who turned 80 years old on Thursday, the 12th of March, 2026, reveals a brief history of her life in the Cayman Islands. Mrs. Johnson, who went on the Kirk Pride to Tampa to work for the Colonel family in 1967, returned home to the Cayman Islands, to Grand Cayman, to permanently reside on the island for 59 years and has worked in various industries since then. She loves the fast-paced lifestyle of Grand Cayman and doesn't see herself living anywhere else. Grand Cayman is now her home, away from home, and Mrs. Johnson has made many friends from living in this jurisdiction. So happy belated birthday to Miss Venice Johnson. A birthday greetings coming from your daughter, Sasha Carter, and loving grandson, Hubert Walker. Folks, again, continuing Minister Myles' campaign to keep you informed, to keep you up to date in terms of what is happening in relation to those subjects that fall under his portfolio, which are Caymanian employment and immigration. It is my pleasure to welcome him into the studio along with the Director of Work, Mr. Jeremy Scott. So without any further ado, gentlemen, good morning. Welcome back to
Good
For
morning,
the Record.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, Minister.
OC, thanks again for inviting us. I've asked Jeremy to be here with me because he's been working extremely hard with his team to improve the deficiencies of the immigration department and how we continue to do things to meet the business community halfway. So I'm going to let him go into some detail about the plan that he executed over the last 3 weeks and some of the successes that he's gaining from that. And, you know, the goal for us right now is to ensure that we continue to support the director as he raise the standards of the organization and to move a number of initiatives forward. What I also want to talk about today, OC, is, you know, we are, under my portfolio is also pension and labor. So I want to address some things that we are experiencing there again, because it sort of coincides with some of the enforcement that Director Scott and his team is also doing. So I'm going to share with our listening audience the things that we're moving towards as well, because the biggest challenges that we have in government right now is reaching across the aisle and making sure that all of our government departments are talking to each other. And it's one of the areas that Director Scott is doing extremely well with, consistently reaching across to other departments to get information so he can continue to, run his department at the highest level. So I want to chat about that today. I also want to talk about employment. We are approaching summer, and in every summer we have anywhere between 450 to over 550 young people that are looking internships. And I want to appeal to the business community today, because the goal is that we have to start placing every single one of those young people. All I hear often, in particular from employers, is that our young people, in particular those that are in college, don't have any experience. So they're qualified, but they have no experience. Well, when they come back and they're trying to get internships to get some experience over the years that they're in school, quite often no one provides them that experience, and that becomes very, very frustrating for them. So, in our responsibility to increase the efficiencies, I've been meeting with a number of business leaders, and I've made it very clear to them that as we ensure that the department becomes more efficient, they have to step up to the plate in order to support our youngsters, get the necessary experience and certainly qualifications further in line with what their degrees are. So that's what, sort of in a nutshell, that I think Director Scott and I will be doing today.
Okay, Director?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Connor. Good morning to Cayman, listening and viewing audience. And thankful, appreciate the Minister allowed me the opportunity to come here as well and share with the public in relation to the work that we are actually engaged in. So I think it's important to start from having done stakeholders and been a part, working closely with the ministry. Stakeholders have come back and made it very clear that one of our pain points with efficiency is processing of work permit applications. So we have looked at and accepted that the processing times are a bit delayed. Where we are right now for work permit applications, we're speaking of 8 to 12 months at times for annual work permits, that upon submission before an actual decision can be made. We accept that obviously that impacts negatively the business community, especially where businesses are actually abiding by the processes in law, advertising that the positions, and obviously they need the resources to be able to carry out their business as well. So what we've done in the past, actually as of next week, last month, middle of last month, we've actually taken on a what we call a backlog project. So we first focused on bigger stakeholders or businesses that are under the business staffing plan, who have larger groups and numbers of applications pending. Also working with the business staffing plan board, who has taken on 2 additional meetings per week. And when we're taking those things on, obviously board members take on much additional tasks and burdens of meeting 2 times a week for 2 full days, pretty much. So right now we focused on about 1,400 applications. These applications fall under specific industries, industries such as legal, financial, tourism, retail primarily. Within 1 month, we have been able to complete 1,400 plus applications in 1 week. We have dedicated administrators who have delegations under my power. To do that, normally on a weekly basis, they can complete about 150 applications each. We added an additional administrator on to this project. Every week we've been reporting to the ministry and the minister himself. And we have actually successfully completed, as of this week, 1,400 plus applications. So employers under those industries will have seen in the last month a major increase in efficiency in meeting their applications. I think checking in with the managers currently, they will only have about 2 months waiting period between submission and review at this present moment. I do know that the board as well, collectively, within a month, would have completed close to 300 plus applications as well. So with that combined effort, what I want to share is that this is not a temporary fix, because then the question would be, okay, now that you've done that, can you maintain it?
Yeah.
So in speaking with the minister and the ministry, we are in the process right now. I would say within the next couple of weeks, we will have additional staff employed that will be able to deal with more applications. We're looking at 4 more administrators and 3 more processing clerks. The goal is not to make this just a backlog project and we'll be back in the next month backlogged. We want to provide consistency. We understand the importance of the business community and employers, personal employers as well. So this is not just about the bigger employers. It's actually about all employers. So we will be going forward and making sure that our timelines for annual processing is down significantly. Again, ensuring that the community and businesses and employers will not have that delayed review period.
But how can the businesses also help this process along? Because there are times when they fail to address certain queries that the boards may pose to them. They may fail to address a Reg 6 condition that is on there, whether they're able to actually fulfill the Reg 6 condition, and if they can't, then bring their case forward. How can they also ensure that they're part of the process and they help to bring the process along?
Yeah, so very, very good question and identifier, and obviously understanding that Mr. Connor has the insight historically and currently for specific reasons. With relation to that, we are ensuring, and this is where the balance and act of expediency and quality comes in, and insurance of governance and adherence to the law. Because if we don't ensure that those governance measures are adhered to, then we're undermining the intent of the law as its entire structure. So what we have done is to provide public information. I know from last year on SEF, I was actually looking at our website as well. We've sent out media releases informing the public, say for instance, about their obligations in relation to conditions. Business staff and plans sent out notifications to businesses saying you need to adhere to the conditions. If you haven't, here are some ramifications that could end up happening because of non-adherence. We've also strengthened the vetting and processing of those applications. What I will say to the public, in the same breath of saying that we are going to be efficient, we have to ensure that we're not going to end up deferring applications, which in essence, I will reflect on the number of applications that we are faced with on a yearly basis. So for 2025, we have processed 63,460 work permit applications.
Massive.
26,706 actually being temporary work permits out of that number. So we are tasked with we have a monumental task of being efficient and being qualitative. What I want to say also to employers is that what I've been seeing as well, I look at work as having 2 pillars. One is to ensure that Caymanians are given a fair shake, first chance at employment and opportunities. The second pillar is to make sure that the employers are given the resources in that balance to do business. If we can ensure that there is a fair shake and a balance in relation to that, we are ensuring that our mandate and our law are being adhered to. So what employers are seeing as well is that where employers have to advertise on the portal and where Caymanians apply or are referred by our employment service unit, and they do not make the relevant comments on the portal, identifying to us as the authority that they have considered the Caymanian, the reasons why the Caymanian may not have been adequate, suitable. Where that's not being done, we've advised employers that we will not approve the work permit. Even if, for some reason, there was some oversight that they did not provide it or they forgot to update it, the entire process, there's a purpose. The Caymanians have an ability to have transparency in the process by ensuring that where an employer makes those comments when they apply for the job, they are able to reflect and say, oh, okay, I understand, or unfortunately, I don't agree, so therefore I am going to elevate a complaint or a concern to the work department for them to look into, because we want to ensure fairness and transparency. That was the whole entire purpose of the portal in the first place, as well as if Caymanians have employment service officers who are assigned to them, who are referring them on the system, they too have a feedback mechanism that enables them to further help and assist their client to develop and then actually become a more ideal candidate in future job endeavors. So we are working very, very hard. I will get a shout out to the work staff. On the front end, the back end, they have a monumental task. And I want to thank the minister for his support and appreciating that we are doing a stellar job with the resources that we have, but we needed more resources to deliver. So we are going to deliver to the public in the immediate and in the future.
Okay, we're going to go to a commercial break. I'd like you to sort of expand a little bit when we return on the notification that employers have been given in terms of if you haven't fulfilled all of the requirements, checked all of the boxes, crossed all of the T's, what will happen?
Sure.
And any advice for those employers who use third-party sources to submit their applications for them to ensure that they're conveying the message to that third party, and that third party isn't really saying something that the employer doesn't necessarily agree with.
Correct.
So, folks, with that, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Babe, not tonight. You keep poking me and I need to be rested for meetings tomorrow.
What? I was almost asleep. That's the mattress spring I keep telling you about, not me. We really need to get a new mattress.
Tossing and turning, back hurting, can't sleep? It might be time to turn in your old mattress and go to bed with a new one. Browse the huge mattress showroom at Brand Source Home Gallery and pick the perfect mattress today. With mattresses to suit every budget, Brand Source Home Gallery stocks a wide selection of sizes and styles like pillow top and gel memory foam. So stop tossing and turning and sleep better tonight with a new mattress from Brand Source Home Gallery, Dawson Drive, Industrial Park.
Heads up to our listeners, Talk Today will be going on the road this afternoon from 12:15 until 2:30, broadcasting live from the Credit Union in honor of their 50th anniversary celebrations.
Cayman Islands, are you ready? This is not just another church event. This is a prophetic revival coming to the island. Prophet Kofi Danzo will be live with miracles, breakthrough, healing, and a prophetic word for this season. If you need answers, direction, or you're tired of the same struggle, this is the night for you. Georgetown Hall, Georgetown, Grand Cayman, between the 13th to the 14th of March at 7 p.m. Admission is free. Come early and don't miss what God is about to do. This is your moment. This is your revival.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price, and a service to make you smile.
Happy 50th anniversary, Radio Cayman. My name is Carl Brown. You're the spirit and the ethos of the Caymanian people. Lomax Rankin in the mornings. Cheryl Ann and Joy Brandon reading news. Dorian Miller, the first talk show host. Sportscaster Ed Bush. What a memory. Radio Cayman is more than the voice. It is the soul of the Cayman Islands.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. For those of you who are just joining us, we have in the studio with us this morning the Honorable Myles, Minister with responsibility for Caymanian employment and immigration, which includes pensions and labor as well, and the Director of Work, Mr. Jeremy Scott. Before we went to the commercial break, he was talking about some of the communications between boards, his work department, and to employers, potential employers, current employers, as well in terms of how they can make the whole application process so much smoother and efficiently as well. And my question had to do with those entities that use third-party sources to submit their applications.
Yes, sir. So thank you for that question. Before we go to the third-party agents, I think I could add on to the fact that what would be helpful for employers in general is what we have been seeing, as well as the boards and feedback, is that there still remains a significant volume of applications that where employers are not supplying the full information that is on the checklist. That becomes problematic. Reason being is that I shared that we process 60-something plus thousand applications per year. And to keep up with that efficiently, we would like a very more streamlined process rather than have to defer a high percentage of applications on any given review period, whether that be the boards or whether that be administrators or myself. It's critical for employers to follow and ensure that upon submission, they are providing us the full information that's needed. If not, what we have been doing, because again, I know in the years before, there was a very, very high percentage of deferrals that we were sending back to employers saying, you need to provide. We have gotten to a point in saying, unless this is something as added information that we have not put on the checklist that we are now asking for that is novel, we will defer for it. Yeah. If you have not submitted the information that is general in nature or that we don't have access to from a previous submission, there is a high chance that we are going to refuse the application, especially if that information is critically important to make a decision. For example, if we're asking for, say for instance, I'll tackle the disclosure about Caymanian applicants. That's critical, right? We have to make sure that Caymanians are protected in the first instance. The second part is if you have medicals, health insurance, pension, police records, etc., that is not being provided, we are going to refuse the application because these are critical components in order for us to make an assessment. We have obligations under the law to make a full and an appropriate decision that is reasonable and legal. And that is what a lot of employers are actually seeing. So I've had quite a bit of employers calling me, as you can imagine, saying, well, Mr. Scott, years ago, you guys were deferring these applications and giving us an opportunity to come back to the table. I appreciate that. Now, if I had double or triple the amount of staff to also serve the public and to allow that level of service, that would be the ideal state of affairs. Unfortunately, I don't. So the plight right now to employers are, please ensure that you, upon submission, that an application is fully complete as best as possible. Like I said, we do at times defer if we feel that there was some sort of oversight that could have been avoided, or may not have been avoided, but it is critical. If we need a streamlined service, we have to appreciate that there's thousands and thousands of applications coming in. Actually, to be exact, it's about 4,000 and odd applications we receive per month that are submitted between our portal and walk-ins.
Wow.
Right? We have 200, 300 persons walking in our doors on a daily basis. So it's critically important. If we want an efficient service, you also need to give us an opportunity to provide that level of service with full submissions and qualitative submissions as well. As it relates to agents, what I would like to identify in this is that you have to ensure there's a couple of things. One, I would say, ensure that agents are, that you're doing business with agents that are legitimate. Obviously that they have their license. If you're using third-party individuals, what we've also seen is that also can lead into another area that we'll probably end up talking about is fraud, deception, obtaining money by deception, pecuniary advantage. Those things can come out if you're using unverified or unqualified agents or immigration consultants or whomever you're using. But as it relates to the legal agents or consultants, one of the things that we are pushing there too is the same thing. If you have clients, such as employers, who are reliant on your service, please ensure that your submissions on their behalf are quality, that they are 100% following the protocols to allow us to serve the client or the public in an efficient and in a modern way. But if you're not submitting the applications in a complete manner, we are going to be refusing the applications. You're going to have to resubmit or appeal the decision, of which you would have to prove that our decision was unreasonable, illegal, unethical, and that's going to be a high charge to prove.
Yes. Could you speak to, in relation to Caymanian employment, again, the obligation of employers, not only to just say, well, this Caymanian applied for the job, but we didn't find them to be suitable. They're obligated to provide certain information to the board, documentary evidence to the board as to whether or not an interview took place and how that interview. So reminding people that the boards can't tell you a business who they should employ, but they certainly can ensure that the process is transparent and the process is fair as far as Caymanians are concerned.
Yes, sir. So the law in itself has always been, this isn't something new, has always been a requirement that employers, where a Caymanian has applied, actually I would also venture to say that the law also covers Caymanians, permanent residents, persons married to Caymanians, and even local residents. Where they have applied, that there is a full disclosure of what their resume, all resumes, all interview notes, and from those, from the hiring process, what was their reasoning for not hiring? And we look at a priority scale. So for not hiring the Caymanian or any one of those, what was your reasoning? Now, if ourselves as administrators or the board identifies that there is not good reasoning for hiring that Caymanian, then there is a chance that the permit will get refused, or there may be actually an opportunity where we go back to the employer and attempt to retrieve or to receive additional information that will allow us to make an informed decision. In most cases, the latter would occur. But again, where you're not making a full disclosure in relation to Caymanians who've applied, out of negligence or oversight, there is a strict liability offense as well. And I will lean on the fact that we have a no tolerance approach to that. The minister has made it very clear in many media appearances, as well as has supported us in ensuring that we pushed out comms, I think it was in July.
Yes.
Again, supporting that position in law, that Caymanians we must ensure that Caymanians who are applying correctly through the portal or directly to the employer, they're obligated to disclose that to us in an application. And as mentioned, all of that information in relation to that applicant needs to be provided. If it's not provided, there's a chance, again, it can be refused or further deferred, and it is a chance that the board or myself or my administrators are going to reject that application if there is a view that the Caymanian, it will be more reasonable to believe, and we would be of the view that a Caymanian could satisfy that post.
So, Minister, in your opening comments, you spoke, about the internships and everything. We're going to go to a commercial break. When we return, in addition to what Director Scott has said in relation to Caymanian applicants, any advice that you would have for Caymanians out there who are pursuing jobs in terms of what they should do? Because there are some instances where, verifiable information has come that those employers have actually sought to contact the Caymanian applicant and unable to do so as well. So on our side of things, on the Caymanian side of things as well, we have to ensure that our people are up to speed. And there's no person who can speak more authoritatively about that than you, in terms of Inspire Cayman and everything. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Hey, new drivers, don't just drive smart. Cynical and Inspire Cayman's Safe Driver program will show you how. Get real-life simulator training and classroom sessions to help you gain experience, stay alert, and avoid accidents. Learn to recognize risk, manage fatigue, and make smart choices behind the wheel. Certified participants may even pay less for Cynical motor insurance. Learn more and register at cynical.ky. Cynical, keeping Cayman covered.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Whether you're walking, running, cycling, playing outdoors, doing household chores, or basically any job requiring physical labor is movement. Staying active is known to benefit both physical and mental health and is a key contributor to longevity of life. On Sunday, March 29th, the Cayman Islands government will be launching Move It Cayman, the National Movement Challenge. Your health matters. Let's step into Wellness Cayman. Learn more by logging on to gov.ky/Move It Cayman.
An evening of music takes you on a tour of Echoes of Spring, Rhythms of the Heart, a John Gray Memorial Concert at the Harkwheel Theatre on Sunday, March 15 at 6 p.m. An impressive lineup of local talents including Glenn Inanga, Eric Nicholson, Karen Carafelli, Anika Jefferson, and more. Tickets are $25 and bring a guest for free. In support of the Lila Nell Ebanks Music Fund. WhatsApp 925-5531 to get your tickets today. That's 925-5531. Echoes of Spring, Rhythms of the Heart. Sunday, March 15 at 6 p.m. at the Harkwheel Theatre.
with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. For those of you who are just joining us, we do have in the studio with us Minister Michael Myles and the Director of Work, Mr. Jeremy Scott. So, Minister Myles.
So one of the challenges that the business community continues to report is the lack of preparation that they are seeing our people come into interviews on. 9 years ago, when I started to look at what I'd like to do to help our country, workforce development was a major part of that. Hence, I developed Inspire Cayman training. The goal for me has always been, how do I help a person, whether it's a young person or not, how do I help them get prepared for an interview? Because these days, in the last 10 to 15 years, we have moved away from the old personnel department, and today we have human resources. In human resources, people want to understand what your successes have been. They simply don't want a resume with a job description on it. And so what we are trying to do, and I've been partnering with the Employment Services Unit and other organizations on the outside to help our people get more prepared for the success of getting through an interview. No one hires anyone just looking at their resume. Employers want to be able to meet you, and they want to ensure that you understand what their company does. So one of the things we'll see that I would like to say to a lot of folks who are looking or seeking employment today is there are a couple of things, right? And this is coming directly from employers, but this is also the last 10 years of my career of helping people, get in employment, be successful in interviews. One of the major aspects of that is the first thing is the contact. Employers are saying that, one, the numbers that are oftentimes put on resumes are not the job seeker's number, right? It's a number for a family member or, maybe a mother or a father, and they don't want to do that. They want to be able to contact the person that's seeking the job. Secondly, the email address. We have folks who have email addresses that are off the chain. I mean, it is almost ridiculous, some of the email addresses that people are sending employers that they believe that's appropriate, right? They need to send an appropriate email address, right? So you can't, like I've seen email addresses that superman123@gmail.com, or Miss Hotness gmail.com. Like those are things that are just inappropriate. If you want to send that stuff to your family members or your friends, great. Use that. I'm not saying you can't use that email address, but when you are sending a professional email to an employer, something like Michael Myles 123@gmail.com or Jeremy Scott @gmail.com. Like those are simple emails that employer want to actually interview. No one's going to take you seriously if you have some off the chain email, right? So those are two things off the bat that we can fix almost immediately, right? Another thing is the response to the email. Employers have said, I send the recipient an email and I don't hear from them for weeks. And then all of a sudden I go through all, like the job, portal closes because I need to move on. I need to start a short list. And then 3 weeks later, I get an email saying, hey, I applied to your job. Well, the job closed 2 weeks ago, right? So just an appropriate response. When a person is shortlisted and they know that a date is set, they need to start to now think about, how am I going to approach the interview? Where is the interview? Like I have a lot of young people who have been given an interview date and time, and they wait until the day to understand where the company is even located. And then they're driving around Georgetown, or they don't know that the actual company is in West Bay or in East End or wherever, and now they're late for that interview. Do your work, do the research, right? Go out on the company's website. Even if you don't want to ask the person who set up the email or set up the interview with you, most good companies more than likely have a website that you can go out there and figure out where the company is located. Secondly, a lot of employers has given me personal feedback and said, I would really like for them to come prepared to answer questions, right? Sometimes they come in to the interview and they don't even know what job they're interviewing for, right? And this isn't just in the private sector. This is also in government. Like, I speak to a lot of HR people in government. Sometimes it's the same thing, right? You have to be able to know which position that you're applying for, and you have to know what the demands are of that particular position, because there are going to be questions that are going to be asked you if you can do that role, right? Secondly, the dress code, right? You cannot go to an interview and, folks are showing up in shorts and T-shirts, right? Or, they're showing up with a jeans and Crocs on. We have to now get beyond that. This interview, you're going to impress someone. Like, you want this job. And I often say to young folks, it doesn't matter what sort of job it is. I don't care if you're picking up garbage, man. Go in your Sunday's best. If you wear a tie, wear a suit, because when you walk into that, that's how employers are seeing you. They're like, this guy is pretty serious, or this young lady is pretty serious about what they want to do. And then from there, it is, do you have questions? I often say to young folks, right? And because this happened to young people specifically, I often say, okay, do you have questions for the employer? I don't. Why not? Do you not want to know anything about the company? Because they're going to ask you, they're going to ask you a lot of questions. So you're either going to, help yourself by being interested in what this company is doing, or why even go? You've applied to this company. I've also said to a lot of folks, please be careful on how many resumes that you send out there, right? Human resources is all connected in the Cayman Islands today, right? We have the HR Society. Most HR managers are talking to each other. When they look at your resume and they see that, hey, you work for a company that they have a colleague, they're going to call that company. So you have to understand that when you are blanketing this entire country with 100 resumes, and most of those companies you don't really want to work for. They're applying to things, I say to a lot of folks all the time, do you want to do that job? No. Well, why'd you apply to it? Why? Well, because I need a job. I understand you need a job and you're going to get one. You're just not going to stay at that job, right? Do not apply to jobs that you know that you don't really want, because what that sends the message is that you're desperate. And that at the end of the day, even if you get that job and then another job calls that you truly want, within a week or two, maybe within a month, you now quit that job, right? And then it sends the message that you're job hopping. So these are all of the things that employers have provided me feedback over the last 10 years of doing this, but also in the last 10 months of working with the director and his team, I am now out there. I'm on the ground, with the director and his team. So I'm not just sitting in the ministry, giving policy advice. I want to make sure that we are, trying to support, a number of young people. We had a recruitment drive a couple of weeks ago at Signal House, and we had about 15 employers there from a variety of different industries. And we still had a number of folks who showed up in Crocs. We had a number of folks who showed up in T-shirts. We had a number of folks who showed up without a belt, sagging. I had to pull a kid and said, you can't come here like this. You don't look like you want a job. So I had to pull him to the side. I'm like, I need you to pull up your pants, tuck your shirt in, and I need you to go get a belt, right? You're here for a job, right? You want to get a job. You're 15 really good employers here. They're going to look at you and they're not going to take you seriously, right? So we have to make sure that you are here, you look good, you feel good, you're assertive. When you walk into that room, you know that, you're impressive,
confident,
right?
Yes.
That's the stuff that ultimately that we're working on. We are also looking at how we help our employment services unit to beef up how we go forward and prepare our people. But these are the things that we have to start to work on to remain competitive, because Cayman isn't, I often say to folks, when I got out of high school 30 plus years ago, I could have worked anywhere in this country, right? We had the old personnel department. Personnel department knew my grandmother, my aunt, uncle, cousin. Like they knew everyone around my family. They may not have known me, but they knew who I was for, right? And they was able, I could walk right into a job.
No interview process,
they
but
didn't
it's
need to
yes.
interview me, right? Like they didn't need to interview me because they knew how I grew up. They knew what part of the island I was from, what neighborhood I was from, because they grew up with me or they grew up with my mother or grandmother. Today, personnel has gone. Personnel has
different
died.
landscape.
Human resources want to show. Human resources want progress. They want to see on your resume that you've accomplished some stuff. Therefore, I say to people all the time, before you send out a resume, send it to 4 friends. Send your resume to 4 friends and say, give me some feedback. If you were an employer, what would you be looking for on my resume? Like I see resumes that I've gotten, that people have sent to me, and there are loads of errors on them. Names are misspelled. Dates are missing. The font is not the same. All of these things matter because these employers are getting hundreds of resumes, and they are not going to look at your resume favorably if they see one mistake. Because if they're, I speak to lots and lots of HR people, hiring managers, and they often say to me, if I see more than 2 mistakes on a resume, I pitch that, because if they can't take the time to look at their resume, why would I want to hire a person who's not going to take the time to do my job? Precisely. And maybe that's unfair to a lot of people, but it is a dog-eat-dog world out there. And that's why I've said to Director Scott, we have to do everything we possibly can to serve our people better, right? We are going full out. Like we have now a sort of wraparound services now where our employment services unit are going to be providing. If we need childcare, then I want to talk to you, because to get you in a job, that's what we need to do for a few months, then that's what we're going to do. If we need to help you get transportation, to get to a job, if we need to get you some bus fare, because that's what your barrier is, then I want to be able to sit down and talk with you, because I need to get you past that barrier. But these are ultimately the things that we are working on right now to serve Caymanians, to ensure that they're not just getting in the door, but they're successful in meeting the demands of the job.
Okay, gentlemen, we're going to go to our headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, we want to talk about the new legislation, the new amendments that have been made. How will that help in terms of expediting things and other matters as well? Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
As part of K-Fest, the Cayman National Choir and Orchestra presents Dawn and Awakening. It's taking place tonight at 7:30 p.m. at the Harkwell Theater, and you can pick up your tickets at eventpro.ky. In international news, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says Iran's new supreme leader is in hiding, quote, wounded and likely disfigured. He said, quote, we're shooting down and destroying what missiles they have in stock, and more importantly, ensuring they have no ability to build more. Earlier, the U.S. said it would loosen sanctions on other countries buying Russian oil and petroleum loaded on vessels at sea in a bid to curb price rises. The cost of oil rose to more than $100 a barrel earlier this morning when 3 more cargo vessels were hit in the Gulf. In Tehran, footage analyzed by the BBC shows an explosion near a pro-establishment rally after Israel launched new strikes. And 4 crew members on board a refueling plane that went down over Iraq have died, according to the U.S. military, adding the incident was, quote, not due to hostile fire or friendly fire. And a driver who rammed his vehicle into a large synagogue in Michigan on Thursday afternoon is dead. The Oakland County Sheriff told reporters that the suspect had driven his vehicle through the doors of Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield and then down a hallway before it caught fire. Security guards at the synagogue opened fire as he approached and then confronted him inside. One who had been hit by the vehicle was treated at hospital and expected to recover. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter. Radio Cayman Headline News.
At
HSA, we strive to provide the highest standard of care with compassion, integrity, and dedication. And so we say thank you, Cayman, for continuing to make us the most awarded organization on island by voting us the best of Cayman Islands in 9 medical categories. Your support reminds us why we do what we do, to serve the Cayman community with kindness and excellence. To find out more about our award-winning services, visit hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
With Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, the Honorable Myles, Minister with responsibility for Caymanian employment and immigration, including pensions and labour, and the Director of Work, Mr. Jeremy Scott. So we're going to talk now about the legislation that was just passed in our Parliament and the aims and objectives of that.
I think that there's a couple of things that we have been successful at. One is that we recognize that, and Director Scott mentioned this, where our efficiencies lie. We have to be able to admit that we have not been doing a great job. Director Scott needed the team of people in order to continue to make things more efficient, and we've done that. So a major part of the legislation we just passed was how do we start to move away from temporary work permits? Well, we need to entice the business community who actually want full work permits. So part of this process was putting express fees on grants, full grants. We've been successful at that. The goal for us have always been that we have to be able to reduce temps. Temps will eventually go back to what they were meant to be. And I think we're on the right track with all of the things that Director Scott and his team have been doing over the last several months. We are on our way. All the things that the boards are doing over the last couple of months, we're on our way to ensuring that temps will eventually go back to being, if you have, if you're filling a maternity leave or something like that, or if a doctor's coming in to do a particular procedure for a couple of days, maybe a month or so, a lawyer's coming in to trial a case. That is a true temp. What we're doing right now is that temps are almost a precursor to a grant, and it should never have gone that way. However, we understand what the business community requires, and we're making steps. So the express grant is coming for the full grant. The next part of it was trying to correct the wrong. Folks that were born between 1972 and 1977 have been extremely frustrated that they have to prove that they're Caymanian. We've written that wrong. All but one of our MPs voted for the deeming provision. We believe that at the end of the day, it's also going to unburden some of the admin tasks that Director Scott and his team was constantly having to deal with. People, Caymanians, are saying that they are being disenfranchised, and we've had to listen to that. So I met with all MPs because I wanted to make sure that this was going to be a unanimous vote. I've also had the Attorney General and Deputy Governor as part of that meeting last week, Wednesday, just before we opened Parliament, because I wanted to make sure that people have a clear understanding what we were trying to do. The goal for us, OC, and Director Scott can attest to this, is we have reached out to stakeholder meetings, the opposition, every part of government, over the last 10 months, I've made sure that we have, because I believe that we can't do this job without, or we can't improve our processes. He relies on, and his team relies on a number of other enforcement departments to do this job. The demon provision, I need that to be, we needed that to be passed so we can go back to focusing on what really matters to him. The sham marriages, right? He have to be able to deal with that, because that's growing in our country, and our compliance team, like, he need another 5 people for compliance that I'm working on trying to get him, because people are calling us saying these things need to be investigated. Well, he don't have the team for that, right? So we have to make sure that some of the administrative tasks that he's constantly having that's bogging him down every single day go away, and that the demon provision was a major part of that. So those are the things that we were able to pass in Parliament. Another wrong that we wrote right was, we found out really with the express fee for the grant that we didn't have, we forgot 15 years ago to actually make the express fee for the temp, within our law. So we wrote that wrong. And as I've said to the opposition, immigration is complex. I don't pretend to have his 30 plus years of knowledge or Wes's 40 plus years of knowledge. He's teaching me as much as I can learn, and this has been a crash course. Him and his team is constantly feeding me information so I can get out there and I can advocate for the changes that we need. What I'm trying to do is make sure that his job doesn't become so much harder with all the admin stuff, because every single day he's bogged down with a lot of admin stuff, and he can't get to the things that he truly needs to get to. This was a major one of them. When they pointed out that we needed to correct this wrong, I'm like, let's get it done, right? Let's stop hiding behind politics. Let's stop hiding behind, well, we can't do this then because, well, the political way of, we don't want to be embarrassed. So I'm like, that's not who I am. I want to be able to correct it. And this is what I've said to our opposition. Anything that we believe that isn't right, once the director points that out, or our chief officer or team points that out, if it's a legislation fix, then we need to go back and get it fixed. And I'm going to come out and say to the public, here's what we're fixing, right? But we're also going to do a lot of consultation, and that's what we've done with a lot of these things. We want to ensure that the public have a clear understanding. We hear you. We're not always going to do everything that you want, because some of the things that people are asking us to do is too much in the gray, right? And it only applies to them and their companies. And I can't do things, and he certainly can't do things for just one organization or one industry. We have to be able to do things that benefit Caymanians at the forefront of everything. And this is what I've said to him. What you see is what you get from me. You're going to do your job. Just tell me how you want me to help you. And he said, Minister, here's how I need you to help me. I need you to get me the staff that I need, because if you want me to increase this, if you want me to become more efficient, here's what we need to do. And we need to make sure that we have boards that are going to work with us, right? So our goal has always been, legislation alone isn't going to improve things. We need a good director. We need a good team. We need good leaders underneath him. We need a ministry that is very supportive to him. And then we need to tear down the silos, because when he needs to make a call to say, I need this information, I don't need him to be begging for it. I need cooperation. I need people to be able to give him the information. So all of the provisions that we've brought, and this not just the 3 provisions, but the 37 amendments, it's just going to make his life easier, and it's going to make the boards more efficient, and certainly regularize how we do things in the country. Another major thing that he's actually now doing is a national immigration policy. He said, I understand that people are, sometimes our people are getting it wrong, because sometimes based on how we read the law, you can call immigration and get 3 or 4 different answers, because it's left up to interpretation. So he's working on that. He said, I need the funding. We've given him the funding. He's now did the RFP. We've launched this. We're hopefully in the next
8-9 months.
8-9 months.
we'll have a final product.
We will have a final product. And then that will go out to the business community as well. And then that will hold us accountable. So that will be on our website. His team will get all of that. So when an employer calls in and say, hey, what's your policy on this? Our team could say, give me a second. It is on the website. Here's what this means. We don't have that right now. All of these are things that ultimately, as I said to the director, I'm not here to tell you about how to do your job. I need you to tell me how you want me to support you. So all of these provisions that we have passed in Parliament between December and certainly last week, that's how it's going to be helping us.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll ask the director if there's anything that he wants to add to what the minister just said as well. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget, our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite band-aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. But don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Crime does not pay. The government's official receiver and the Royal Cayman Islands Police are hosting a public auction of high-end electronics and kitchen appliances. This initiative supports the fight against money laundering by removing the benefit of crime. Join us this Saturday, the 14th of March, from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Lions Center. Every bid makes our community safer. Pre-register now at CaymanAuctions.com.
K-Fest 2026 is in full swing, celebrating poetry, film, dance, concerts, visual arts, and so much more. Follow Cayman Culture Socials to see it all. It all culminates on Saturday, March 21st with Red Sky at Night, happening at the Harkwell Theatre grounds, featuring local art, crafts, live music, dance, storytelling, interactive activities, and more. It's an event for the whole family. Pre-sale tickets are just $10 adults and $5 for children. Visit ticketsplus.ky to secure yours today. Red Sky at Night, the grand finale at K-Fest 2026.
Sponsored by Ministry of Culture, Camana Bay, Coca-Cola, Webster's Tours, What's On, and Radio Cayman.
Grow your business with Breeze 105.3 FM and Radio Cayman. From spot packages to full campaigns, we've got rates that fit your budget and your goals. Email our sales team today, rcsales@gov.ky. That's rcsales@gov.ky. Let's get your message on air and reach listeners who trust us every day.
With Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Minister Michael Myles, Honourable Michael Myles, and the Director of Work, Mr. Jeremy Scott. I do have some questions from our audience, but I want to give the Director an opportunity to also add anything that you may wish to in terms of the new legislation and enlighten us in terms of, how it will help you.
Sure. I wanted to clarify as well, as it relates to the express fees for annual work permits, that includes grants or renewals, is that the transitional fees has actually identified and allowed for these fees for annuals to be or the express fee, not the work permit fee, the express fee that is normally paid up front as it is now for temps. Yeah. There has been a shift, and it's an intentional shift, is that the cost of an express fee for an annual will actually be less than it is for a temp. And that was intentional. We want you, if the desire at the beginning of contracting a worker is to hire them for more than 6 months or more than a year, we want you to go through that route. There is a time frame that we will be obligated to processing as well, as it's currently reflected for temps, but we will have a 14 working days to process upon submission. And I say that is upon a complete submission.
Yes.
Because there is guardrails that have been placed within the transition fee regs that will allow us to legally allow us to be able to delay those processing if it, say for instance, the employer didn't provide adequate information as necessary, or it was identified additional, I call it legal impediments, whereby we have to ensure that the law is considered before a decision is made. However, generally speaking, we have to communicate back to the employer within 14 working days upon submission. So again, the plight, I would say, to the public and to the employers are, if you want an express service and your desire is to contract a worker for more than 6 months, then go through the process of paying for an express fee for an annual instead of the temporaries.
Okay.
As it relates to the deeming provision, that too was critically important for us to recognize persons who were born here on or before 26th of March 77. The difference between what we have currently, so I wanted to explain that what we have currently will, when a person applies for the right to be Caymanian, it does take us back, so it depends on the year you were born. We have to go back to that statute or that law at the time. Now that one would say, well, you could have achieved it through that route, or you already have it. The problem is that the current law still requires there to be an application to the Director of Work. So there's not an automatic deeming provision. So what has been done is that the older legislation under the Caymanian Protection Act back in the 70s is now overtly placed within our current law to enable the public to see and read for themselves, right, without any ambiguity or without any legal experience, to know who is a Caymanian and who's not. It does not address any greater efficiencies for persons who were not born during that period. We still have to understand that laws that have progressed and developed throughout the years will require at times a requirement for a Caymanian who was born here in the 80s, say for instance, to also prove that their parent that they had a Caymanian parent and were born here and domiciled. But this definitely will help thousands of other Caymanians, older Caymanians, to ensure that there will be an automatic deeming provision. Also, it will allow us to now go to the records without having for them to make an application and correct the records to show unequivocally that they are Caymanian, as well as to help with the eGov with EID platform as well, because what we're having right now are some challenges where older Caymanians are going through that route and recognizing that our system, it's not our system doesn't have them recognized as a Caymanian. The issue is that the parameters that are behind the scenes with the database does not meet the requirement for their system to read into our system and determine that they're a Caymanian. So there's a next project that we'll be having to work with CSD, and that is now to actually populate, and we work with eGov. Every week in conversations and discussions with the director, Mr. Tibbetts, for eGov. But we have a plan, and the plan is to update our system to also include that list that were born here, so that they don't have any further impediments when they're applying for their identification.
Okay. So one of our listeners has written in. They said, I would grateful if you could ask. I have 3 questions for your guest, Minister Myles. this morning. I would be grateful if you could ask them on my behalf. First one has to do with accountability and enforcement. Says Minister Myles, while we recognize and welcome the growing number of private sector training programs, scholarships, and partnerships supporting Caymanians, which government authority and or board is responsible for enforcing and monitoring these commitments to ensure organizations are held accountable for their community investment and Caymanian employment obligations?
So our Business Staffing Plan Board normally monitors that, because a lot of this stuff is also placed on the business staffing plans that many of these employers submit to immigration. Our administrators also have access to this information as well. So this is where the accountability and enforcement will come from. But one of the things that I'm working with Director Scott, certainly with our ministry on, and OT, the Premier's office on, is an accredited program. For the last 10 years, I have now reviewed 2 full documents that at least several committees has put together, and it's gone nowhere, right? So Director Scott and his department has a high-risk register that when organizations or people aren't doing the right thing, they are placed on that high-risk register, and we monitor them. Their applications are screened by our compliance unit, and if we believe that they need additional screening, then they are in place for additional screening. However, we've never really highlighted all of the great work that employers are doing, and I think it's about time. And so what we're going to do is use his high-risk register and policy to put in a simple accredited program, identify companies, and use the CARIB, because we have a lot of companies that are offering scholarships, or providing training, promoting Caymanians. Many of the bigger companies have Caymanians not only in their leadership, but in their partnerships and so forth. If they're accounting firms or law firms, there's a lot of really great work that's out there. The unfortunate part is that those same great employers are in the same category, in the same processing line as the bad employers or the employers who are not doing the right thing. We have to now use more of the carrot, right? And we have to entice many of the folks who are not doing the right thing, or many of the organizations who, they're not offering scholarships. But if they see that we have a new line of service with this accredited program, then maybe they want to start offering more training and more scholarships. Another thing that I am doing on my end is I'm trying to meet with a number of employers to see what the needs are in terms of training. So a lot of the small employers, right? And small employers are those employers that have 10 or less people. They want to do training, but they don't have the budget for that. Well, I want to talk to you, right? Can you take a Caymanian on in a sort of internship, but you may not have the budget for the next 3 or 4 months? Can I help you provide that budget? Can we go into this together where the employer and the Caymanian government sponsors that person to go into a training program? Maybe it's a TVET program. Maybe it is just an evening class at UCCI where we can help fund that. Those are the things that I want to do. And we've done it. We've kicked this process off with the 1GT Hotel, and it worked phenomenally, right? I'm now seeing smaller partnerships that I'd like to do. Like I just spoke to 2 or 3 other companies a couple of days ago. They're going to come forward because they don't have the full budget for it, but they have some of the budget, right? Like I had a company that came forward to say, I can take them on in a training on for 3 months. However, I can't pay their health insurance. As an intern, I want to be able to take them on, but the work that we do, they could get injured, and I want to make sure that they're covered. Well, I'll help pay their health insurance, right, for 3 months, because the goal is if they can train up that Caymanian, I can help pay their health insurance, and they take on that Caymanian full time. I mean, it is a win-win, right?
Yep.
So I know the next question. I know you sent it to me, OC, so I'm gonna. The person also asks about long-term commitment, right? What measures are being put in place to ensure these training, internships, and workforce development initiatives remain sustained in force in the long term, particularly once the momentum around immigration reform happens? Great question. This is where the accredited program comes in, right? The goal is that the stick isn't helping us, right? We need the stick, but the stick isn't long term. I can't give Director Scott, 100 compliance officers. It's not like we don't have the money for that, right? We have to make sure that employers are motivated to, one, expand their organizations, because the more they expand, the more Caymanians are hired, right? That's the goal for me. How do we get Caymanians in organizations? We have to be able to, one, make sure that their business are increasing on a regular basis. The next thing about this is that we have to make sure that there are rewards in place. Why would I want to put a good employer in the same pool with an employer who are not really doing good things, right? So we have to work on how we sustain it long term and beyond Michael Myles, beyond Jeremy Scott, right? It should not come down to me and Jeremy being in our positions for programs like this to exist. It has to be easy in moving forward. Hence, we're going to be using his high-risk policy as a guide for the accredited program. So that's how we're going to sustain it. Two, employers actually want to invest. We have millions of dollars in scholarships, right? Not just from the government, but from the private sector, right? So they're doing it without even the accredited program at this point. Why? No employer wants to pay $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for work permits, right? Why would they want to go down that route if there is a qualified Caymanian? Now, OC, I'm not saying that there's not cheating out there. There is. There are employers who are specifically putting job ads out there because they have an expatriate person in mind that they want to hire. But is that the norm? It's not. I've met with a lot of employers. They truly want to hire Caymanians, and we have to make sure that that continues to happen. So the sustainable part is that training has to take place. The next sustainability aspect of this is that we have to start to connect scholarships to labor. And this is what Minister Anglin is working on, right? We have over 1,500 students between sixth form, UCCI, ICCI, and a lot of different schools in at least 3 continents, right? Well, their information has never been provided to the private sector. Director Scott could tell you, prior to me coming in, he had no clue how many people that we had overseas. The boards had no clue. What Minister Anglin has done is he's given us all that information. Once those students release their information, that has now come to us. What we have done is that we've released it to all of the major recruitment firms in the Cayman Islands. Their group is now working with us to help place those students along with POCS and another of other organizations, right? So we also have put together a workforce committee, and that committee is now helping me develop strategies. Like I've expressed to the committee several months ago, I don't need a report to tell me that we have problems in the country with employment. I get that, right? What I want them to do, give me what is short term, give me what is medium term, give me what is long term. So I can then share that with Director Scott and the boards to see, here's what a short term strategy looks like. The internship program, that has to be nationalized. A database have to be created. So there's a lot of work that's going into this, and that's how it's going to be sustained, where all internships goes in a pool and all of our students understand what that pool looks like.
Great. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Hey, new drivers, don't just drive smart. Cynical and Inspire Cayman's Safe Driver program will show you how. Get real-life simulator training and classroom sessions to help you gain experience, stay alert, and avoid accidents. Learn to recognize risk, manage fatigue, and make smart choices behind the wheel. Certified participants may even pay less for Cynical motor insurance. Learn more and register at cynical.ky. Cynical, keeping Cayman covered.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Cayman Islands Prophet Kofi Danso is coming. Live miracles, breakthrough prophecy, and prophetic fire. This is an encounter of deliverance and transformation. It all takes place at the Georgetown Town Hall tonight, March 13th, and tomorrow, March 14th at 7 p.m. Admission is free. Don't miss it. This is your night.
Hello, Cayman. This is George. From April 1976, I've been tuned in, listening in, and calling in to Radio Cayman from the first time, the initial broadcast, and continue up until today. So I want to congratulate Radio Cayman and the whole entire staff.
Hold on a little bit longer.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have less than 25 minutes to go with Minister the Honourable Michael Myles and the Director of Work, Mr. Jeremy Scott. So, Minister, if you want to read the last point that the writer has.
So it says access, oversight, and impact. How is the government ensuring that Caymanians are aware of, able to access, and genuinely benefit from these private sector programs? And how is the impact of these initiatives tracked to confirm their closing skill gaps, and strengthening Caymanian participation in key industries? So a major part of what I've just said is that there's never really been a database that was designed to host any sort of internships. All of the internships were never actually in one space. What we're doing now is designing a database to ensure that all organizations can actually put their internships in one space. Another thing that we've never done is that we have never actually reached out to all of our scholarship students. I now have the largest recruitment firms reaching out to them to inform them of all of the opportunities that we have in the country. We've also never focused on the students who are graduating every year, because at least a year out, we needed to actually start preparing them for their transition back home. Are there jobs that they qualify for? This is now what we are doing, and this is now going to be something that is going to be developed into a strategy, because as I said, beyond me, beyond Jeremy, beyond Wes and our team, we all come and go, right? The goal is, how can we put a system in place that the people coming in after us can simply follow a system, that the silos, that we have breaking down, maintain down, because our responsibility is that I have to be able to be, my ministry have to be able to talk to the Ministry of Education in order to continue to get information. The dialogue between Director Scott and our CIPS, Customs and Border Control, the Department of Labor and Pension, and all of the other providers have to be something that we continue to do. But what is critical, OC, is the communication with our stakeholders. The biggest things that have challenged the Cayman Islands government and certainly administrations in the past is that we've never really successfully or consistently reached out to the business community. We do it once in a while, and then when we start to get criticized, then we pull back. Well, I want to hear and understand what the business community wants of us. So, the director's part of this as well. Our leadership team in the ministry, every quarter, we've set up stakeholder meetings with at least 80 companies, right? From big companies to small companies. I've also added now in, because I found out that we hadn't actually invited the the Private School Association. So they reached out to me and they said, listen, I've heard you guys are actually doing these stakeholder meetings. We want in. So I've added them as part of that. This is the strategy going forward. Regardless of what we're doing, this doesn't have to be so adversarial. The government is never going to get all of it right. Neither is the private sector. But we absolutely have to meet in the middle with this. I have no problems in folks criticizing me. I have no problems with folks criticizing the director and our team. Just understand, come with solutions. Listen, I'm here telling you that I'm not the expert in this. I'm learning as I go as well, but I believe that we have a really great director. We have a great team at work. We now have a solid plan that he's executed that is working for him, and ensuring that the team at work will manage this on a long-term basis. We have a great team at the ministry. The goal right now is that I want to hear solutions from the private sector rather than saying, well, you guys aren't doing this well. Great, I know that, right? I accept that. How can we actually do it better? Come with that, because if you can come with that, then that's a starting point for us.
Okay, so you just invoked the director's name there. We have one question that writer has added, and I'll put that on to another question as well. The person wanted to know whether or not the fees will be on the online portal. The person says that they always have to call before they submit an application to confirm the fee. On at least 2 occasions. And then another writer, because I know that there are certain things that you want to talk about here, so I'm going to just ask these two and we can get you back on track. Sure. Person says, any plans to increase fines for employers who hire persons who illegally landed in Cayman? And then there's another part there about liaising, any plans to liaise with authorities, Jamaican authorities, to help detect persons coming illegally on boats and remaining in Cayman undetected for years. That sounds more like a CBC issue, but the fees, one in relation to being on the portal would be.
Yes, sir. So we do recognize that I think ideally it would satisfy customers that the fees are on the portal, or as soon as you're typing in a certain type of application or something like that, there's something that pops up. Unfortunately, that's not the case at present. We will continue to look at driving that forward. We are looking at a new milestone of around August of possibly having a full platform versus the current portal. And a lot of customers are not aware that our portal is not one full platform, because on the front end or within our department, we have our own database that needs to be correlated with the portal. So it's not a full platform. So in the immediate, what we'll ensure is that with the transitional fees, we will ensure that that's placed on the website. It may not be on the portal. We could work with the developers as well to find out how best we can serve our customers. But we are working on FAQs. We're working on comms with the ministry and our IT team to ensure that on our website we'll have it at an ease of reference. I think this allows me to segue into the fact that one of the components of change was extracting the current fee schedules out of the original regulations and actually giving it its own regulation. So you have an immigration transition amendment validation fee schedule. That will make it much easier, that you can actually go to as an individual document, peruse it, and get that information. But I can let the public know that we are working on ensuring that we can give access to the fees to allow them to have a better knowledge of what those fees look like.
Okay, we're going to take our last commercial break, and hopefully we'll have enough time for you. If not, the minister will be back with us, and his team will be back with us next Friday again, God's willing. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite band-aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. But don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Heads up to our listeners. Talk Today will be going on the road this afternoon from 12:15 p.m. until 2:30, broadcasting live from the Credit Union in honor of their 50th anniversary celebrations.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Consumer Price Index Rental Survey conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office is now underway. The survey aims to collect data from residents of the Cayman Islands who are renting properties. The ESO invites participation in the Consumer Price Index Housing Rental Survey, which the ESO will conduct in February, May, August, and November each year. The CPI survey helps to calculate the inflation rate or the changes in the cost of living in the Cayman Islands. Trained ESO staff with ESO ID cards will administer the survey. The individual information is confidential in accordance with the Statistics Act. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from Freedom of Information requests. For more details, please call the ESO hotline at 516-3329 or directly at 244-4602.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Got something on your mind that you want to share? You can send a text, send a voice note, or even request a song. Go on, give it a try. Message us at 925-3261 on WhatsApp today and get active with Radio Cayman. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, #Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
With Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Gentlemen, time goes so fast when you're dispensing such valuable or invaluable information to our audience as well. But like I have said, Minister and his team will be back with us, God is willing, next Friday as well. Mr. Scott, over to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Wanted to make the public aware as well that some of the changes that came about as a result actually of the amendment in December of 2025, and as upon commencement, there were changes that allowed or focused on self-reporting or mandatory self-reporting through annual declarations. So at present, you'll only find that there are certain types of permanent residents who have it off of 8 years, say for instance, and some other wealthy investment permanent residents of facilities that are required to provide annual declarations. And those annual declarations and the factors that have to be reported on are ideally linked with loss provisions. So if they've gotten their PR on the basis of land and property and businesses, etc., every year they need to report back that they still possess them, or if it's something that's changed, that the value still remains, or whether or not they've been out of the country, whether they've been convicted, etc. All loss provisions. But the idea of increasing or expanding the annual declarations to other facilities were critically important. For instance, where we're finding, and the minister mentioned it early in the segment, is that where we're finding that where persons married to Caymanians, when sham marriages, etc., do not have to report, then it's left for, I call it, Good Samaritans to complain, or for hopefully one of those individuals to report the change of circumstances or that there is a marriage of convenience of some sort. Instead of waiting and hoping, we're saying if you have passed the first threshold of obtaining the residency, loss provisions are identified, and they're saying that if circumstances change in your marriage, it's broken down, if it's dissolved or annulled, then we need to know. But without an annual declaration, we're reliant on them. We're changing the scope of that and saying, no, if you are married to a Caymanian and you are a civil partnership to a Caymanian and you have residency on that merit, every year you are going to be required to submit the annual declaration and answer critical questions that are directly related to loss provisions. That's one. Also for individuals who are married or in a civil partnership with permanent residence. So we're setting parity here. They too would be required to produce the annual declarations on an annual basis to us. Our team, since the last quarter of last year, have actually rolled out a project in relation to vetting and auditing of annual declarations for facilities or persons who are deemed or required under the current law. We've completed, I think it was like 983 annual declarations, vetted those. I'm happy to say that out of that sampling, I call it, that a very minimal amount, we had 28 to 30 adverse findings, I would call it, where it was reported back to the board. They are currently handling that process in making determinations as to whether or not those should be revoked or whether or not there needs to be further steps in ensuring compliance. But that correlates with annual payments. It correlates with whether or not there has been a separation in the relationship, etc. I will also say that our stats for last year showed that we were receiving somewhat around 200 on average complaints around marriages as well. So this just further supports the fact that we are going to ensure that there is a self-reporting component, and our team will be dedicated to vetting and auditing whether or not persons are in compliance. Failure to declare or submit your declarations in and of itself is a loss provision to the facility automatically, as well as it's an offense. So there's a strong obligation to adhere to filing of annual declarations. If I have an opportunity, very quickly.
So I just wanted to say that
Sure.
I did a quick check here, and say 28 out of 900 is about a little bit more than 3%. So
Correct.
That's
I was happy to see that. Like I said, this was just a sampling. It just started last quarter of last year. The team is dedicated. I've actually built out the risk management team and had dedicated staff or compliance officers to that process. But the reason for me mentioning that, I want to ensure that this is not just something that's going to be put in law and not going to be monitored.
Yeah.
We are monitoring it, and we ask for the public's adherence and persons who have those facilities to adhere to it. Last but not least, I wanted to also mention that there was a change in relation to the criteria for financial standing. What I mean by that is that where you have workers who desire for dependents to be added to their facilities, whether it be a work permit or whether it be residency, there was never anything carved out specifically in law or regulations that established what was that criteria or minimum standard. This recent amendments have now identified in law that there is a financial standing requirement. It then brings us to regulations. Right. And in regulations now, and before I get there, I want to clarify that the current position by policy for the last decade or more has been that if you have a proof that you are making $3,500, you can add one dependent. Right. If you want to add another dependent, it has to be $500 more, proving before deductions that that's your income to add dependents. Dependents could be spouses, could be children, brother, sister, whatever, but that is the requirement currently. The change has brought about an enhancement to that, whereby now you have to prove that you have $5,000 in income, primary income, $5,000, before you can add one dependent. So as it relates to transitional impacts,
Mm-hmm.
is that those who have dependents currently, upon commencement, they remain valid. However, when that permit expires, the new provisions and the new standards kick in. So if you're going to apply for dependents upon renewal, this new criteria of $5,000 to have one dependent or $1,000 for any additional dependent would be the new criteria.
Mhm. Any advice to those who may have it in the back of their minds to try to skirt that provision and to just jack up the salary of their employee to then meet those new requirements?
So a quick and candid response to that would be don't do it. The law has been amended to carve out a specific offense that it makes it criminal if they provide us with false information, and that goes for the individual themselves or more so to the employer. So you're speaking of, I think the offense in itself was somewhat like $10,000 an imprisonment for a year. So I would suggest and recommend where the change occurs. If you don't meet that standard, then you don't meet that standard. But for an employer to attempt to deceive us in any way, shape, or form could have detrimental outcomes.
Okay, one of our listeners said, way to go, Michael and Jeremy. And I'm just using the terms that they made.
Sure.
Michael and Jeremy, we appreciate you. And I have some comments that I was going to wait until my closing remarks, but I will do so now. And Mr. Scott and both the minister referred to, my background in terms of immigration and everything else. And this is really, and it may sound patronizing. It isn't meant to be in any way, because I've been around long enough to see things happen, to see immigration legislation introduced. This is the first time that we have seen a genuine attempt to link everything together, to tie all of the loose ends up, and to have that linkage so that we have a nice package that works. And congratulations for that.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I appreciate that. The goal for us, OC, as I said, my responsibility as a minister is to support the team. I really believe that the team is doing a phenomenal job, but they need support. They need the staffing. They need the minister's guidance and certainly moving some of the clutter out of the way. I think what have prevented Director Scott and his team over the years is that they've always been limited to a minister saying, okay, I support you, and then we go back and we do something off the wall, right? So I don't have any dog in the political fight, right? My responsibility is how do we ensure that our businesses are winning and our Caymanians are winning as well. What has happened over 10 to 15 years is that we often have businesses winning and Caymanians are kind of subject to whatever happens. Then we patronize our Caymanians by, well, you can go to DIFA or former NAU, right? That's not going to fly anymore. As I've said, we are engaging businesses regularly. Every single week I meet with a business. I am accessible to every business that wants to meet with me because I want to understand what they want to do, how we can ensure that they are successful, but who are they hiring, promoting, training as Caymanians? What programs are they going to be running to ensure that Caymanians are winning as well? So I want your business to win. So is Director Scott, so is our chief officer. We want your business to win. So I'm not anti-business. I want to ensure that businesses are winning, because when businesses win, the community wins, our people win.
Precisely.
But we do have a lot of people in our public school system that are wanting to ensure that they have employment coming out of high school. And I've said this on this show, I've said it on other shows, and I've certainly said it and on a number of other forums. I am not under any impression that Caymanians are going to fill every job in this country. It is impossible. The great thing is that we have a real good problem. We have more jobs than we have people. We have a phenomenal problem. right? But the goal is that how do we ensure that businesses continue to ensure that our people are priority? I know that they're priority. Director Scott and our teams know that they're priority. I want businesses coming forward and giving us ideas on how they intend to make Caymanians priority as well. We're willing to work with you. And as Director Scott said earlier, the goal for us is to make sure that the efficiencies are long lasting and not just a cleanup job, right? That's great, and we need to do that exercise, and he's done it with a lot of class, him and his team. But now we have to make sure that work permits are processed under 2 months.
Yeah.
As going into this, we are going to make sure of that. So whatever we need to do it, and I often take his direction, I often take the chief officer's direction of what else do we need to do to make sure that this happens. And I think that once we can do that, businesses will come to appreciate that we are making a genuine effort. And as you said, the next aspect of this is that, and I want to say this for the record because I started alluding to this last Friday, is that I've just heard some scary statistics, and I told a list in public last week that I will get the statistics. We have over 2,100 companies that are delinquent in their pensions, right? Now, this is one of the things that Director Scott, Director Ebanks from DLP, this is how we're linking all of this as well. You know, we are going to be enforcing this. And I can tell you, if you are one of those delinquent companies, get your act in gear because the pressure is going to be coming. We're also linking this, and Director Scott has been told of linking this with DCI. Mm-hmm. He's going to have access to their database eventually. This is going to be enforced. We are looking at giving businesses 8 to 9 months because as of January 1st, 2027, you're no longer going to be just going on and renewing a trade and business license and self-certifying. Yeah. We're going to be changing that system, right? So get your act in gear at this point in time, because if you do not have, your pensions and your health insurance up to date, this is how this is going to be sustained. It starts with DCI. Director Scott is going to be on the opposite side of this, and also Director Ebanks, and we're going to be enforcing it on our ends. But DCI is going to be enforcing it, will be the first line of defense for us. Part of this process right now is that we're working across these different departments. But when you hear 2,100 companies, that's insane. Now, here's how much they owe pensioners, $14 million.
Whoa.
Right?
Wow.
There's a lot of money out there that people are not paying. Now, I get that sometimes companies run into hardship. I understand that. But we have laws in the Cayman Islands, and either you're going to abide by the law or you cannot operate here.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
We have to now get to a point where the government is being stressed with this, because where it falls, OC, is that we are now having a bloated social system. We're now paying out well over $70 million in indigent health care. We are now paying an insane amount of money for folks who are retiring, and because their pensions aren't paid up, they're going on government subsidy. Well, businesses need to know, when you're crying out that we are raising fees, this is what it goes to, right? It goes to social programs. So when you are not actually ensuring that your employees' pensions are paid on a regular basis,
you place
and when
the
they retire,
yes,
place the entire country at risk, because the only way we are going to get money is if we increase fees, and that comes back to a number of organizations. So you heard it from me. You have at least 8 to 9 months, because as of January 1st, there are going to be things that we're going to be doing that's going to be very different, and it's going to affect a number of businesses in our country.
Get your house in order. So we have a birthday shout out to Carlos Solomon and Des Ebanks today. Mercedes Tomlinson tomorrow. All birthday greetings coming from Tommy and your friends at TCE Paint Job. This other person has written and said, "Good morning, OC and guests of your show. I would like to give credit where it's due. I want to send a huge shout out to Mr. Philip Nunez, who works with Mr. Scott and under Minister Myles' ministry. He is very knowledgeable and has been doing an amazing job in his capacity, and I'd like to give him his flowers for his hard work and dedication." I want to thank that listener for that. I think I have a few more here. This one says, Okay, this one, the person wants to know the cost of a permit for a security guard if anyone is monitoring the security companies who are hiring, as there is no Caymanians being hired. Well, we know about that. I could speak to that. This what person says. Could the director and minister please speak to changes to Section 66, subsection 10, and provide clarity on how the change will impact those currently on 6610 permits? Does that ring a bell?
It does.
Okay.
Not sure whether we'll have time because it does get a bit complex. But the basic change to 6610, I think it's now referred to as 6610A. Currently, persons who reach their term limit that are married to a worker or a government contracted employee are able to continue working past their 9 years as long as the marriage remains stable, or until the other who their allowance depends on remains employed. The 6610A was inserted as a measure of mitigating or deterring persons who are married to other workers. So after the commencement, where you have a person who has reached their term limit but end up marrying another worker, their ability to benefit from the 6610 in its original form would no longer be available. What will happen is that person, the only option would be if they want to leave together the country. So the person hits the 9 years and they're married to another worker, or they're a worker and they're married to another worker. When they hit their term limit, they can ask for their spouse's term limit to for the less amount of time that's remaining as their term limit, which essentially, we don't think most people would want to do that. They would actually say, no, I'll keep my own term limit. And I guess I will leave, or will decide to voluntarily leave and come back after a year of rollover. That was put there to deter what we believe, and we have evidence of that is happening as well, is that persons are actually workers, are actually marrying each other. It's really a marriage of convenience.
To game the system.
So to game the system. So that was put in place in order to address that mischief.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, we look forward to having you again next Friday as well. I've been asked to give birthday greetings to our grandson, Noel Carter. We love you as well. And I think that is, I won't call the name who's coming from because I haven't been able to find it yet. No time for me for some closing comments. I'll just say to you, please join Mr. Charles Glidden-Shallow at 12:15. I believe he will be broadcasting from the credit union today as well. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to continue to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. Doctor's Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. Kirk Market, experience a world of choice. JN Money, from abroad to Yad. And Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, no Cayman, Cayman right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio